Is Airbus developing a new A380? The news that Airbus will build a replacement for the A380 came over a year after the last A380 was delivered to Emirate. What are the specifics of these updates, and when will the new Airbus A380 hit the market? What is the Airbus A380? The Airbus A380 is a large wide-body airliner that was developed and produced by Airbus. It is the world's largest passenger airliner and the only full-length double-deck jet airliner. Airbus studies started in 1988, and the project was announced in 1990 to challenge the dominance of the Boeing 747 in the long-haul market. The then-designated A3XX project was presented in 1994. Airbus launched the 9.5 billion euros A380 program on 19 December 2000. The first prototype was unveiled in Toulouse on 18 January 2005, with its first flight on 27 April 2005. It then obtained its type certificate from the European Aviation Safety Agency and the U.S. Federal Aviation Administration on 12 December 2006. Due to difficulties with the electrical wiring, the initial production was delayed by 2 years, and the development costs almost doubled. It was first delivered to Singapore Airlines on 15 October 2007 and entered service on 25 October. Production peaked at 30 per year in 2012 and 2014. However, after the largest customer, Emirate reduced its last order in February 2019. Airbus announced that A380 production would end in 2021. Airbus chalked up the A380 project as a commercial failure. Despite selling hundreds of aircraft, the manufacturer did not receive sufficient orders to consider the project a success. Emirate has 118 A380s in its fleet, 80 of which are currently operating. The aviation industry has seen a significant resurgence in demand for air travel since travel restrictions have been eased. While the pandemic was the nail in the coffin for many jumbo jets, Emirates had little choice but to hold on to the jumbo. Is there hope that the A380 would be back? Hopeful for another jumbo, the CEO of Emirates, Tim Clark, has recently made it known to the public that both he and the airline he represents is hopeful that Airbus will produce a replacement for the gargantuan A380. This information was shared nearly a year after the last A380 was delivered to Emirates. Airbus has entirely ceased production and has informed the public that it has no plans to restart the project. Nearly half of all A380s ever produced have become valuable assets of the Emirates. It has become a key asset to the airline's operations. Based in Dubai, the A380 has assisted the Emirates in connecting passengers from all corners of the earth through its central hub. Tim Clark, the CEO of Emirates, told the public that he believed the aircraft to be far from obsolete. Clark stated, "The notion that the A380 was a spent force was always a little bit of a difficult one for us to swallow." Emirates' fleet of Boeing 777s does not have the capacity required to fully replace the A380. The airline now has plenty of demand to fill its jumbos and plans to see all of its A380s return to service by spring 2023. Close to 70 of these A380s will undergo interior renovations later this year. The airline will be installing a new premium economy class, reducing the number of available seats from 519 to 484. However, the A380 has several flaws that made it a burden for airlines, which was why it got canceled. The A380 had 4 engines and was enormously fuel-hungry. The plane could seat hundreds of passengers, but as soon as the airline couldn't sell all the seats on board, it became expensive to operate. The A380 could only land at certain airports that had a long enough runway, taxiway width, or gates at the terminal, limiting route options. It only made financial sense over a very long distance, further reducing its possible routes. What the A380 was designed for? Airbus designed the aircraft for hub-to-hub travel. When airlines found that passengers preferred to fly as directly as possible to their destination, such as Washington to Barcelona, rather than flying through hubs like New York and London, they saw that the A380 was not the right aircraft for the future. For these reasons, airlines fell out of love with the expensive aircraft and jumped to smaller but more fuel-efficient planes, almost as soon as they could. This process greatly accelerated during the aviation crisis. It is for these reasons that a comeback for the A380 will unlikely be for regularly scheduled passenger services. Cargo was an option at one point, and the idea has grown in popularity as airlines struggle to meet cargo demand and look for more aircraft to transport freight. However, the plane has a flaw that makes it unsuitable for cargo operations. A consequence of being so heavy is that the maximum takeoff weight of the A380 is smaller than its total internal volume. Thus, a cargo operator will run out of takeoff power before they run out of room on board. Emirates currently plans on retiring its A380 fleet in the mid-2030s. The airline is hopeful that a new jumbo will come along before this, but it is preparing to operate without these jumbo assets. The airline has ordered 50 smaller, more fuel-efficient A350 aircraft to fill the crucial role played by the A380, as well as the 777X. The airline also operates a sizable fleet of Boeing 777 aircraft. Unfortunately for the airline, neither the A350 nor the 777 can rival the capacity of the A380. The Airbus A380, the world's biggest airliner with over 600 seats on board, in one specific Emirates airline configuration, had been written off by many observers and retired by numerous airlines at the height of the pandemic. But now, as airlines seek ways to cope with the sudden massive increase in demand and the delivery delays plaguing Boeing, the Super Jumbo's return looms, and in much larger numbers than expected. The production of the A380 ended last year, with Emirates receiving the last ever A380 built at the Airbus factory in Hamburg in December 2021. The era of the four-engine wide-body jet seemed to be over, as U.S. rival Boeing had already indicated it would end production of the legendary Boeing 747 in 2022, after over 50 years. In a spectacular U-turn last week, German airline Lufthansa confirmed it too was bringing back some A380s for the 2023 summer season, a sign that a resurgence of the A380, unthinkable only months ago, was gaining track. German flag carrier Lufthansa is among those bringing their Super Jumbos back. In the last week of June, a total of 129 A380s were taken to the skies again globally, operated by 7 airlines, according to tracking portal Flight Radar 24. That's more than half of the 251 long-haul aircraft ever delivered, with more being brought back into service every week. Why the U-turn on the development of the A380? Passengers love the A380, but almost all of its operators have struggled to fly the giant aircraft economically, mostly due to its 4 engines, which consume astronomical levels of fuel, as well as the many seats that need to be filled. The aircraft, of which Airbus had hoped to build at least 1,000, was a commercial flop. The carrier Emirate out of Dubai remains the A380's strongest backer and biggest customer by far. Emirates has 123 A380s, almost half of the entire amount ever produced. Soaring passenger demand, already above pre-pandemic levels in some areas, is a big reason behind the U-turn on the A380. But it also has to do with problems at U.S. manufacturer Boeing. The delivery delays for the Boeing 777-9 are a big burden on our flight operations, Spoor said. So, as a stopgap measure, Lufthansa has decided to reintroduce the A380. Lufthansa would start operating its returning A380s from Munich in spring 2023, said Spoor, adding that the number could rise if demand stayed strong. Not enough A380 pilots. The main reason to base the Super Jumbos in Bavaria, rather than at Lufthansa's Frankfurt hub, is the lack of pilots. We have only kept 14 A380 pilots ready to fly, who could be deployed straight away. So if we bring the A380 back into service, we would need to qualify some more A350 pilots, explained Spoor. Lufthansa's A350 fleet is also based in Munich, where some of its cockpit crew are due to do the 6-week course that also enables them to fly the A380. It is quite apparent that the A380 is coming back soon. What are your thoughts on this new Airbus A380? Leave your thoughts and questions in the comment section below.